Let's talk about a couple of games that shut down a while back ago. They're completely dead. There's no way to access them, at least not officially, but you can still play them. You can still get on private servers or fan-made revival projects just to be able to preserve the nostalgia or whatever reason people want to keep these games alive. So starting off with a very popular one that I'm pretty sure every single person played at least a free trial of, Toontown Online. So this MMORPG was made by Disney. It launched all the way back in 2003, and it was a turn-based combat game with up to 4 players in battle. So very much like Wizard 101, although Wizard 101 launched way later, so you can definitely tell that Wizard might have taken a page out of Toontown's book here. Toontown unfortunately shut down in 2013, but in that very same year, a fan-made community project called Toontown Rewritten was launched, where you could actually get into Toontown, play it, and just get the chance to experience it completely without having to pay a single dollar, so no membership required. Which is actually pretty awesome, because people that remember Toontown only remember getting up to like the end of the free trial, but the game has so much more depth and complexity to it, and it's a pretty complete gameplay experience for being a live service game that released over 21 years ago. So you know about Toontown Rewritten, that's trying to be the most faithful recreation of Toontown, but there's also another very popular private server called Toontown Corporate Clash, which really modernizes the game and brings it a ton of updates to it in terms of like visuals and actual content. Like if I had to suggest one, I would say that if you've never played Toontown before, Corporate Clash is probably the one you want to play because it's a brand new and modernized experience. But meanwhile, if you remember playing the original Toontown and you want that dose of nostalgia, I would definitely recommend checking out Rewritten first. On the same train of Toontown Online, you also have Open Fusion, which is the fan-made revival of FusionFall. Now, FusionFall was basically Cartoon Network's take on the MMORPG craze. You had a bunch of Cartoon Network characters and you're trying to save the world from this evil green thing that's invading. I don't really remember the story, to be honest, but I do know that I did get the chance to play Open Fusion, and you do get the full experience. However, it's just not as populated as Toontown Rewritten or Corporate Clash. That's like one of the glaring issues that I saw when I got into Open Fusion. It was basically empty, right? That doesn't mean you can't have fun in the game and you can't get your kick of nostalgia, because you can, but just know that if you decide to play FusionFall's revival project, don't expect there to be a crowd of people just waiting to play with you. So to talk about a game that's not an MMORPG but has the aesthetics of one, the spell-casting battle royale game Spellbreak. Now this is the first of its kind. It was released during the Fortnite battle royale craze, and a lot of people were dubbing it the Fortnite killer. You know, over-exaggerated statement in hindsight, to be honest. But the game was an aesthetic masterpiece. The color palettes, the character designs, and everything was a lot like Breath of the Wild, and the combat system of using gauntlets to cast spells was pretty cool, but, you know, unfortunately, Spellbreak kind of just got left behind. The so-called Fortnite killer just could not hold a player base, and people's main complaints was the lack of updates and the very limited amount of spells that you can cast, because the game really only had like 5 different gauntlets, so there wasn't a lot of variety in terms of gameplay. And then things went from bad to worse, because Blizzard Entertainment bought out Proletariat, which is a development company that was working on Spellbreak, and Blizzard decided to just take the entire team that was working on Spellbreak and just make it go work on World of Warcraft instead. So there was literally nothing happening in Spellbreak. The game was completely abandoned and eventually just decided to shut down. But to the people's pleasant surprise, the game developers decided to just upload the entire game on itch.io, the website where you can just upload games for people to test out and play, and they basically were like, hey, here's the entire game, guys. Go ahead and play your games, play single player, host your own servers, do what you want. I'll try leaving links in the description for all the games I'm talking about, so if you want to check out any of them, you can just go right there and just click on it and just go play it. Now, I haven't done too much research into Knockout City's revival, since I really just found out about it recently and I started playing it in the middle of recording this video. I decided, hey, let's go check it out. Let's go see what it's all about. The game is fully revived. You can play the game, you can host your own servers, very much like Spellbreak, but instead of being a battle royale, Knockout City was basically a 3v3 dodgeball game. Basically, it's team deathmatch and elimination, so you gotta give it props for originality. In a world that's just filled with first-person shooter games, here you are playing dodgeball against the enemy. A lot of companies, what they're resorting to is they just released a bunch of live service games because they're very lucrative, they're very profitable if they pop off, because all you need is just like one big success like Apex Legends or Fortnite, and if that happens, you're in business for years, basically. So a bunch of these games are just potential cash cows. That's why you see a bunch of gaming companies shift the gears into live service type of gaming, which is really not that good. It's not a good thing for gaming as a whole. So the game unfortunately shut down last year, but thankfully there's no revival project needed, and there's no extra work needed to bring back the game, because the game developers basically did the Spellbreak thing and then they just gave you the game. You can go to the website knockoutcity.com, just download the game and just go ahead and start playing it right away. Pretty awesome, right? Okay, so 99% of you will either not know or not care about this, but you can still play RuneScape Classic, the very first version of RuneScape released in 2001, thanks to OpenRSC, a private server that's hosting and preserving the memory of the first ever RuneScape. Jagex, which is the official company, was hosting official servers for RuneScape Classic all the way until August 2018, alongside RuneScape 3 and Old School RuneScape, which is the actual two official games that are running. And this is a topic of confusion for a lot of people because a lot of them think that Old School RuneScape is the old RuneScape, and they're technically right, but RuneScape 3 is also the oldest version of RuneScape apart from RuneScape Classic, but also Old School RuneScape came out after RuneScape 3, but Old School RuneScape is based off the older version of RuneScape. So all of that is already confusing enough, but RuneScape Classic is the one that came before all of that. And not a lot of people know that RuneScape Classic existed in the first place. A lot of people often confuse it with Old School RuneScape. But still, for the people that know about RuneScape Classic, a lot of them still hold it fondly in their little nostalgia basket, and I never got the chance to play it myself. I started in RuneScape 2, which is a different version of Old School RuneScape, but anyways, you can still play RuneScape Classic thanks to OpenRSC, and if you guys use the RSC Plus plugin, it's basically like having RuneScape Classic on a resizable screen instead of having to stick to the resolution that was being used 20 years ago, and you can't really zoom in, so you gotta like make it all big by changing the monitor's resolution. No, you can actually resize it to like make it fit your whole screen, which is perfect. Let's go back to talking about Disney for a second, because Disney, apart from Toontown Online, Disney also hosted Pirates of the Caribbean Online, which is another MMORPG that fortunately obviously got axed by Disney, and this one I never even got the chance to try back in the day. I didn't even know it existed until very recently, and imagine that private servers never existed. There would have been no way for me to check this game out, but thanks to people wanting to preserve memory of video games, we have The Legend of Pirates Online, which is a name change, obviously for copyright reasons, but thanks to like dedicated people who are really fond of these projects, you can actually go back and try games you never got the chance to try, or just get that kick of nostalgia, which is awesome. And I got the chance to play The Legend of Pirates Online for a couple of days, and mildly amusing. Not a game I would actually dedicate my whole career to. I wouldn't become a The Legend of Pirates Online streamer or something, but it's actually fun. And it's fun in like various ways, because you get the chance to play the game and you're like, oh wow, the gameplay is fun, but it's also like you get to see a glimpse of the past, and you're like, wow, this is how gaming used to be back in the day. Look at those graphics, holy crap. So Pirates of the Caribbean Online might have just gotten axed by Disney, but if you guys want to check it out, The Legend of Pirates Online is very dedicated to keeping the memory of the game alive, and if I'm not mistaken, they also add updates to the game to keep it fresh, and keep the old players wanting to come back while also inviting new players in. I wanted to talk about Rumbleverse, which is the wrestling battle royale that was being brought back after being shut down, and there was a project called Project KO working on it, and everyone was super excited that, whoa, this independent group of people is trying to bring back this battle royale, but they got a cease and desist from Iron Galaxy Studios, the company that owns Rumbleverse. So yeah, that's also one of the dangers when it comes to working on these fan-made revival projects, because you never know, man. You're trying to do something out of the kindness of your heart because you'd miss this game, but also it's not your stuff. It's not your assets, it's not your game, it's not your copyright, you don't own any of it, so you kind of just have to either go and ask for permission and go like, hey, can we do this? Or kind of just hope and pray that they don't do anything to mess it up. So Rumbleverse is a wrestling battle royale that was going to come back, but now is not going to come back. And last but definitely not least, because this is the game that literally everybody has tried to play at least once. Everyone has spent at least one afternoon just walking around, hanging out and talking with people and playing this game, Club Penguin. Right, now Club Penguin has a bunch of servers, it has a bunch of like revival projects. A lot of them keep getting shut down. One of them even had to go through a police raid, but the one I got the chance to play was New Club Penguin, and basically they're all the same thing. They let you go back and experience the nostalgia of just walking around, waddling around like a penguin, interacting with other players, playing mini games, and kind of just, reliving the early days of the internet, which is really what all of this is all about. All these revival projects really are just about reliving the internet. So I think that's why a lot of these revival projects, that's why I hold so much value to them, because they really are just about preserving the cool stuff before it's gone forever. But Club Penguin, despite being a massive IP at the time, Disney just didn't see it as profitable anymore and decided to cut it off. But again, if you want to check out Club Penguin, I highly suggest New Club Penguin, which is one I played. It's a very complete experience, and yeah, go out there and have some fun, guys. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about with you guys today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.